Hey, and welcome to 20 Minutes Self Development with me, your host, Tam Dillon. This podcast is all about focused, effective self development, specifically for healing practitioners, space holders, and intuitives who want to do the work behind the work. In each episode, I'll introduce you to a key concept, reflection, or tool that's designed to strengthen your inner capacity and support the integrity of your practice. In just 20 minutes, we'll go beyond surface level growth and into the real work that makes you a stronger, steadier, and more embodied practitioner. Let's get into today's episode. So this episode is for those of you who feel the call. You feel the tug, you feel the pull, you feel that deep innate call to the path, that undeniable sense that you're being called to something, something big, something way bigger than yourself, but you don't know precisely what it is exactly. Maybe you've been having dreams, synchronicities, bizarre experiences, or maybe it's just a deep inner knowing that you know it's there and it's strong and it's persistent, but you can't quite explain it. The question that keeps circling is, what do I do with this? What do I do with this weird, like, pull, tug, calling thing that I have going on here? Like, what do I do with this thing? And we'd start to ask questions like, do I have to become a practitioner? Do I have to use these gifts for others? Or, is this something else entirely? And that experience of being called can feel both, I suppose, like magnetic, where it really is like it draws you in so deeply and so strongly. But it can also feel incredibly overwhelming, like hugely overwhelming and confusing for a lot of people. Some people, and I've read for many people that have been called to the path over the years, and for some they've come to me with a feeling of excitement and curiosity and like, oh, this looks exciting. Some have come to me with complete fear and trepidation in their eyes, where they're like, oh my God, do I have to do this? Do I have to answer this? Like, what is this? And it's almost like you're stepping into a story. You don't even know what the story's called. you don't even know what the cover looks like, let alone understand it. And others may feel like a really heavy, intense pressure or like a burden. If I have these gifts, I've got to do something with them. What am I supposed to do with them? I think for most of us, it's simply just confusion. Where you're hearing the call, but you don't know how to answer it, or are you supposed to answer it? Do you have to answer it? And how? Am I ready to answer it? When will I know that I'm ready to answer it? So there's a lot of questions and confusion that really comes into being called to the path as a medicine person. The weight of the unknown can really make you second guess yourself, or even make you resist what's showing up. It can cause a lot of resistance. In a lot of your traditional cultures, so shamans, native medicine people, South Africa we have, in the Zulu tradition we have sangomas, and the call is often marked by some kind of a disruption. That can be sickness, upheavals, losses, sudden openings of awareness, suddenly gifts switching on, and it's really gentle. I don't think I've ever come across anyone who's been called to the path and they're like, oh, this is so gentle. They all just kind of eased me into it. Like, I don't think I know anyone that said those words to me. So it's not a gentle process, but it is purposeful. Like there is reason to it. It doesn't mean you have to step into service tomorrow. It means you're being invited into deeper relationship with yourself, with the ancestors, and with spirit and the universe. In Hermetic philosophy, we have pretty much the laws of the universe, and polarity is one of these laws. And with polarity, what feels like chaos often contains the seed of order. With order, you will have chaos, and within chaos, you will have order. And what feels like disorientation often carries clarity on the other side. The call really unsettles us precisely because it wants us to move into new alignment. The disruptions are there because we're being forced to shift, to change, to grow, to shape ourselves into where it is we're supposed to go and what we're supposed to be. If we look at this from yogic philosophy, um, I've brought in the philosophy of svadhyaya or self study before in one of my other episodes, and I'm bringing it in again because it's a really helpful practice, especially when you've been called to the path and you're trying to understand it and yourself and your gifts and what the heck is going on and push through all the confusion. We can learn to rather sit with the call instead of trying to rush to find the answer. And the call isn't always about vocation. Sometimes it's literally just about transformation. Just because you're being called to the path doesn't mean you need to go and set up a whole professional business tomorrow. You may not need to set up a business at all. That may not be what your path looks like or what your calling is requiring of you. So taking the time to truly study yourself and your calling and your gifts and really unpacking all of this is really where you want to start. Okay, instead of just being like, oh God, I need to do something with this. So there's some great practices that we can do for when the call is there and we're like, well, how the hell do we answer the call? What do we do with this call when it does raise its head in our lives? When it does become apparent. 3 questions of discernment. When I feel the call, what arises in me? Is it fear? Is it curiosity? Is there resistance? Is there excitement? Write down like what comes when you think about being called to the path of being a medicine person. Like what rises in you? What feelings come up? What thoughts come up? And journal about it, because that's going to help you with that self-study aspect. Getting to know yourself and your gift and your calling far better. What arises in you? What does it make you feel? What does it bring to mind? What is the call actually asking of me right now? Not what is it asking of me in 10 years time or in 5 years time or next week. What is the call asking of you right now? Not in some imagined future, but in this moment right here. And sometimes the answer is just rest. Sit with it. Just be with it. Sometimes it's time to crack the books open and study and refine the gifts and understand your gifts. And sometimes it's simply just listening. I can't tell you how much of the knowledge and knowing that I have that has come from direct conversations with ancestors and the universe and my guides than from actual books. Like, seriously, a lot of what I know and a lot of what I do in sessions with clients, and back when I did energy work and I worked with crystals and I read cards, heck, even setting up my altar spaces. Like, I don't sit there and pre-plan when I set up my altars. I listen. And the ancestors are like, okay, cool, this needs to go over here, and you need to put these herbs in your offering bowl, and these candles need to be lit, and this needs to be done on this day. And because I listen, I pay attention. Listening is listening. If you're going to cultivate any skill when it comes to working with your calling, listen. Okay, it's going to serve you very well. And the third question that we can ask, how can I honor this call today? Even if it's in a small way, whether that be simply saying, yes, I accept, I hear you, acknowledgement, something simple. It doesn't have to be big and extravagant and loud. And a lot of this work isn't loud and extravagant and big and noisy. A lot of it is quiet and introspective and internalized. So ask that question, how can I honor this call today? Of course, we can always draw on my favorite tool, the tarot, to help us answer these questions. How can I honor the call? How can I honor this call today? Pull a card, see what comes up. If you're not comfortable with the tarot oracle cards, there's some really phenomenal sets out there that are specific to, getting messages from ancestors and guides in the universe. So pick sets that are going to help you with those questions. So utilize a tool. Grab yourself a pendulum and switch it to a yes/no question. Is there something I can do to honor or answer the call today? And if the pendulum's like no, then you're like, okay, cool, let's ask it again tomorrow. If the answer is yes, then draw a card and see what it is. There's tools that are available at our disposal. We don't have to figure it all out intuitively. We don't have to always just kind of like intuitively feel our way through answering the calling. We really can utilize these incredible tools that are here at our disposal, but use the tools that are there to understand your calling. What can you do with the calling? Do you need to do anything with your calling right now? Is there anything necessary you need to do right now? Sometimes you just need to know that the calling is there, but the time to do something with that calling hasn't yet arrived, because everything is in divine timing, especially when it comes to your calling and walking your path. So it's very confusing when you first have that calling, and when the calling changes and shifts over the years, or you going through a new initiation stage, or you've been stretched in a different direction of growth by the universe. So this isn't just a one and done thing when you're answering the call. Sorry, I've got to be honest with you. It's not okay, well, cool, I'm answering the call today and I don't have to do it ever again. You continuously answer the call, and the call will change. What's been asked of you will change over the years. How you work with your calling will change over the years as you grow and you learn and you get stretched in different ways. But know that you would never be given the call to a path that you are not capable of walking. I can say that with 100% certainty, that if you are called to path, it's because you are more than capable of walking the path. It's just a willingness and openness and curiosity that you've got to take with you in order to allow yourself to answer the call to the path in a way that's not going to feel burdensome or overwhelming or distressing. When people are called to the path, and I've seen this with myself, I've seen it with people that have come to me. People have sat down in front of me for readings and they're like, my life is falling apart. Like, I don't understand what's happening. I've lost my job and my family is moving away from me and I'm going through divorces and it's just upheaval after upheaval and I don't understand what's happening. And, the ancestors will pop into the room and be like, okay, cool, well, they've been called to the path and, they weren't listening. So, we tried to nudge them and they still didn't listen. So, we started to talk a little louder and, now we're just shouting at them and they're still not answering. And then I had the conversation with the person. I'm like, okay, well, you're gifted. You're being called to the path by your ancestors or the universe or the spirit guides. And a lot of them, they would look at me and be like, no, thank you. Thanks, but no thanks. Can I decline that offer? Um, and I don't think that we absolutely, we can say no, but know that the universe is still going to push you. It's still going to nudge you. It's still going to be like, well, we put you here for a purpose and you're not living that purpose. So we're just going to keep pushing at you. And it happens. They're like, okay, cool. I understand now, but I'm not going to answer the call. I'm going to ignore it. And they come back 6 months later and they're like, oh my God, I'm still dealing with all this upheaval. How do I make it go away? Well, you've got to answer the call. It's like a phone that doesn't stop ringing. And you're just like, oh my God, will you stop phoning me? This is not a call that you can block. The universe is not one of those numbers that you can block on your phone, I'm afraid. It's going to call you no matter what. And the calling will always be there until you answer it. And we do have a choice in how we want to answer it. How we answer it will be unique to us and our experience and our gifts and what we're for and our ultimate purpose, and it'll change over the years. It's not something that's static. The call isn't a consistent static thing. You're called to the path and this is what it looks like today. It's not going to look like that in 10 years' time. It's not going to look like that in 5 years' time. It might not look like that in 2 weeks' time. So understand that your call is not a static thing. And know that the call isn't something that you can just, ignore and pretend like it's not there and hope that it'll go away. Because it's ingrained in you. It's a part of you. It's part of what you're here for. It's part of your purpose. And they will keep pushing and nudging and, poking and prodding until you answer the call. But know that you can choose in how you want to answer the call. Like you can have some boundaries with the universe. Not a lot, but you can put some boundaries down with them. They're kind of flexible, I guess, in a way. But answer the call and ask yourself questions to understand the calling, to understand why you're being called. Like, what purpose are you supposed to be serving? Work with tools like tarot and self-study. Use pendulums. There's so many insightful tools at our disposal. There's the I Ching, there's oracle books, and hey, there's other practitioners out there that can answer those questions for you as well. So you don't always have to try and figure the answers out for yourself. You can also go and ask others that have been doing this work longer, that know and understand the calling, and that can help you unpack those answers for yourself. You don't have to try and figure this out on your own. Have mentors, have teachers and guides and people that you work with. Look for people that have been in service for many years and go and ask them, well, what is it like? How did you get started? A lot of them, 90% of them, will have no issue in holding your hand for a moment or simply answering a couple of questions for you, because they've been there themselves and they know how confusing and disorienting it can be when you're, feeling the call for the first time, or you're taking that big bold step to step on your path for the first time. So know that there's tools and people and teachers and mentors that are there at your disposal. The universe puts them there for a reason. My calling is now and my calling has changed over the years. My calling at first was, to help and heal and guide people. I was a guide for many years. Now I'm mentor other practitioners and people that are called to their path, because that's the path that I walked. I walked that path by myself, for many years. And then I had a mentor and it was amazing. She's been incredible for me. So work with the things that are put in front of you. The universe and the ancestors are not going to give you a calling without some kind of map or guide. A lot of it feels like, what the hell? Like, I can't figure this out. Like, where's the map? Is there a map? Does it exist? It does. But we also can't look for the 3D world answers. We can't look for 3D world maps. There's no, instruction book that we can go buy off the shelf. but know that things will be put in your path to help you understand your calling. Know that there are tools and guides and teachers at your disposal that you can work with to help you understand your calling. But I think if I can leave you with anything today, know that everything that you're feeling about your calling, the frightening side of it, the terror, the curiosity, the what does this all mean, the confusion, the overwhelm, like a lot of it's normal. A lot of that is very normal. And it's say yes to the call. It's a lot more helpful. It's a lot more helpful to just say yes. Just be like, okay, cool, I'm gonna answer the call and I'll figure it out as I go. And for the most part, you are going to figure it out as you go, and that's okay. That's part of the process. It's part of walking this path. So be scared and do it anyway. It really is about saying yes to that relationship, of the relationship that you're going to have with your gifts, to the relationship you're going to have with your calling, the relationship with the unseen. The path is going to unfold in its own time, and your only real responsibility is to stay present with what's being asked of you right now. Like, stay present with that, be present with that, and honor what's being asked of you. Sometimes I'm like, your universe, you're asking a lot here. Like, are you sure? And they're like, yes. And I'm like, okay, cool, I'm going to trust that. And every time that I have, it's worked. It really has. Sometimes it's been terrifying. Sometimes it's been confusing, but for the most part, that works out to be an incredibly beautiful, profound, enlightening, and stretching experience that was well worth answering yes to. So use those questions of discernment, use the tools and the teachers and the mentors that you have at your disposal, and most of all, say yes to the call. It's worth it.
Thanks for joining me for this week's episode of 20-Minute Self-Development. If today's reflections were helpful, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss next week's episode, where we'll explore another tool or principle to support you in doing your own work as a healing practitioner. If you're looking for deeper support, my practitioner mentoring sessions are designed to help you refine your presence, integrate your self-work, and build a practice that's both ethical and sustainable. You can also visit the Tam Dillon Academy to explore all current programs and resources built specifically for space holders like you. Until next time, keep showing up for your own work, and remember, real growth is built on consistency, integrity, and self-responsibility.